In today's tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to edit raw files using Aperty. While we are not gonna be focusing on the specific tools, I'm gonna show you a workflow all the way from beginning through the basic development, additional special effects, up till exporting. Now, as you can imagine, we have a lot to do, so let's start right now. Okay, so moving into Aperty, where we are starting already in editing module, and we're gonna look at our sample files. Now, a quick reminder, as always, if you wanna follow me along and do the edit on your own computer, simply jump into the description of this video, follow the link there, and download the images now. If you have them ready, add them into the application, and by doing that, you will see the same view as me. Now, notice that we have 3 raw files and 3 images of the same lady, just with different scenes or different positions. Additionally, you will also find one JPEG, and this is the image we're going to be working on. That's the idea of the result. Now, looking at the raw files and the development. In general, here in Aperty, they are made in 3 steps. First, the initial development. This will more or less be exactly the same for all 3 images or for all the images within the same photo shoot. So this is why it's step number 1. After that, it comes to step number 2, and that's where we're gonna apply retouching and reshaping. Now, there is a high chance that this will be same for all the images, but maybe there is an additional person, or maybe the light has changed or something has adjusted, so it's not 100% sure that it will be similar. And finally, there is a third step, and this is where more image-specific tasks are done. For example, erasing specific part of the photo. If I erase a part of the image here, for example, this red spot on her shoulder, and I try to apply it to this image, it will just remove, the same part of the photo. So somewhere here, it makes no sense. So this has to be applied specifically for that one photo. So erasing. Dodge and burning, same thing. Also masking, and in general, also any of the special effects using the creative section should be done at this third stage. Once you finish, then only you go ahead and export the photos. However, all the theory out of the way, let's jump and start. So we're gonna select this image. This is what we're gonna be working on, and we're gonna move into our main editing toolbar. The first thing we want to do is to go into the canvas menu, which pretty much looks like a crop icon. And here, yes, we're going to find the crop, but we also going to find a toolbar called optics. So let's click on it to open it. And here, what you want to make sure is that all 3 options are checked. This thing will basically take care of the distortion of the lens, remove any chromatic aberration, and also remove diffringe. After that, you visually check the image, and if you need, you apply some manual adjustments, like the lens distortion, more devignetting, adjusting the devignette midpoint, and additionally, if your model is in structure or interior, and you need to apply some additional adjustments when it comes to the vertical, horizontal, or aspect art of the photo, you do it from here. However, for our image here, the most important thing was that we have applied these corrections. So one more time, you go into the canvas, optics, and you make sure that each of these points is on. Once finished, we can close the optics. And after this, we're going to spend some time in the Essentials tool. Now, Essentials tool, that's the part number 1. This is where we're going to apply the basic development. If you are working on a raw image, just like we do right now, you should see the Develop Raw tool. Now we're going to start from there, so we're going to click on the little triangle in front to open it, and then we're going to look at the options here. Now, one more time, we will not be looking deep into all of these tools. That's impossible in this one tutorial. So if you want to see, for example, a full-on tutorial on the Develop Raw tool, we already have it available on our YouTube channel, and check it out there. However, since we have the Develop Raw tool open, first thing we're gonna do is adjust the camera profile. Once we click on it, you will notice that by default, it's set to Aperty default. However, there are some additional profiles here. Now you can simply hover over them and see what they do to your image. Now we have some standard portrait, which looks very nice, faithful, standard, neutral, and landscape. Let's have a look at it. The landscape looks quite nice, and portrait too. Well, what we're gonna choose? Let's go for the portrait. So we're gonna select the camera portrait. After this, we can move to the white balance. Now, looking at the white balance, we can use one of the presets here, or we can use the eyedropper icon or tool, or we can adjust the overall temperature manually using the temperature and tint sliders. So what we're gonna do, little trick here, we can actually click on the little eyedropper, and now we're looking for area with white in it or shade of gray. Well, on this image, it's the eye, right? It's right here where it's white. So we're gonna click on that, and what it's gonna do, it's gonna give us quite good starting point for the white balance. Let's just check the before and after, and it looks good. If you wanna adjust it, you can add a little bit of warmth using the temperature slider, and with the tint, let's have a look. If we just bring it back up to 0, I think that's about right. Once we finish with the camera profile and white balance, it's time to move on to the light. Here we're gonna adjust exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. However, to make it easier to adjust these sliders, we should see histogram. And to see the histogram, what we need to do is to right-click on our image and select Show Histogram. By doing that, the histogram will appear on the top of our Essentials tool, and probably by default it will look like this. 3 different colors, all mixed together. I think it's just a little bit overwhelming. What you want to do is to click on it until you see that very light blue histogram, which will just give us the general brightness and luminosity of the image. Yes, and this will help us to adjust our controllers here. Additionally, if we want, we can also click on these little circles and just double check the clipping mask. Again, if you want to find out more about clipping mask, check out the tutorial of the Develop Raw tool. So we're going to start with the highlights. Let's take the highlights, bring them down. Again, keeping an eye on our histogram there. We're just going to go gently to somewhere around -30. With the shadows, by pushing the shadows, we're pushing the histogram more towards center, which is what we want to do. So we're going to open them up a little bit, of course, keeping an eye on the image. I think maybe not even 30, maybe somewhere around 20 to 25. After that, we're going to check our whites and blacks. So we're going to take the whites and again increase them, which will again shift the histogram for us. So let's have a look, nothing crazy, maybe just somewhere around 10. After that, time for blacks. So let's bring them down as well. I think just maybe somewhere around -11. So that looks all good. However, look at the histogram, look at the gap here. It's like something isn't right. Well, what we're gonna do to adjust this, we can close the Develop Pro and quickly open the curves. By opening the curves and making sure that we are on the first one, on the black and white curve, when you look at here, you can also see the histogram here. And looking at it, you can see the space here. You can see how it's empty. And to adjust this and basically shift the histogram so it starts from the edge of it, what we can do, we can take this little dot here and very easily shift it towards the histogram. Now, if we overdo it, you will start to see the red overlay. We don't want to see that because that is overexposed area. So we're going to back it up somewhere. Let's have a look around here. And that looks good. So finish with the curves, back to Develop Raw, where we now can finally adjust the contrast and exposure. With the contrast, when you increase it, I think that will help. It will flatten the histogram a little bit and just help with the overall feel. Now, this is a little bit too strong, so let's just go for 15. And finally, with the exposure, by bringing it up just a little bit, maybe to 0.2 or 0.15 will help, maybe just 0.15, just to shift again and flatten the overall look. So now we are done with the Develop Raw tool. So what we need to do next, we're going to move into the color. This is where you adjust vibrance and saturation. You can also apply removal of the color cast. However, more importantly, you can use the HSL panel here. And HSL panel in portrait photography is a really powerful tool. Why? Because it easily allows you to adjust the skin tone and skin tone globally across the image. So what we can do, we can click on this little drop-down box and let's say go into the saturation. When it comes to skin tones, we're talking generally about the top 3 controllers here. In the skin tones, generally there is a mixture of red, orange, and yellow. So let me show you. When I take the orange slider and bring it down, you can see that by bringing it up, she's getting so much more color and it almost looks like she's sunburned, where when we bring it down, the skin becomes much more pale and a little bit more natural. So it's really up to us. Maybe just -5 here, just to get that kind of flat result. With the red, let's have a look. Again, there is a lots of red in her face, so we can lower it just a little bit. And with the yellow, let's have a look. If we shift it around, there actually isn't yellow on her skin, maybe just around hair. So let's leave it on 0. Don't forget, any of the sliders can be resetted by double-clicking on it. From the saturation, we're going to move into the luminance and again focus on the same sliders. Now we know that there is no yellow, so no point to adjust that. However, with the red, by bringing it down, it will make it darker and it will make it more like, almost like she's suntan. So you can do that, or you can increase it and that will add a glow to the skin. So for me, I think somewhere around 10. And then with the orange, again, you can make the skin darker, or you can add just a little bit brightness, a little bit of glow by doing that, by bringing it also to 10. Now, I don't think that we need to adjust vibrance or saturation here, so we're gonna close the color tool and continue. Additionally, here in the essential section, black and white, if you want to turn it to monochromatic or black and white tool, then we have the details and structure, which in general, I prefer to apply them as a part of masking, which means in the 3rd step. So final thing we're going to do here is to apply sharpening and noise reduction. Now, generally sharpening and noise reduction actually work together. By increasing the sharpening, you will reintroduce noise to the image. And by increasing the luminosity, you will remove sharpening from the image. So the key and idea here is to find a balance between the two. So let's reset them and start from the beginning. The first thing you want to do, you want to zoom in to at least 100%. You can do that using the little controller here, or you can use your mouse. Well, let's just use the shortcut 100 and that's that. Now we can just use the mouse to move around and we're going to focus on the areas that are in focus and have a texture and details on it. What we're going to do then, we're going to take the sharpening and just increase it. Just keep an eye, really play around with it, really adjust it and see how much you want to add. I think you want to be a little bit careful with the sharpening. It can add lots of unwanted texture to the image. So we're just going to go for 30. When we applying sharpening using the sharpen tool, another important part is to make sure that we only sharpening areas with the details and edges. For example, you don't want to be sharpening the areas with just a plain skin or with the background. And to do that, we can use the preserve textures, which by default is on 35, but I actually think that generally it works the best around 70. So that's the sharpening. Now, when it comes to luminosity or noise reduction, in general, if there is no noise or if it's not visible, 10 is about good as a default value. If there is a noise, you had a low light situation, you need to make an adjustment, then you can apply more. But I think for this edit, 10 will work very well. So done with the noise reduction, done with the sharpening. And once we zoom out, we are done with our first step, which is the basic development. We still have a lot to do, but the rest of the stuff will be done in the other steps. So at this point, what would be a good idea is to save this look, this adjustment as a preset. And to do that, back to our toolbar, all the way on the top right, there are the 2 circles. So we click on that. That will open the preset section. And here in the preset section, we can click on the little circle with the plus sign on it. So let's do that. Let's click on that. That will open create preset window. And we will call this Bella because that's the name of the lady. And we're going to call it maybe initial development, or we can also just call it step 1. So we're going to do that. We're going to call it step 1 and click on save. When you save a preset, it will be saved in that yours tab where you can see the preset we have just created. And I also already initially saved the full edit into the Bella full edit preset. Now what we can do, we're gonna go to the other images, for example, the second one. And while we still have our preset window open, we can just click on the Bella step 1, and this will now apply the basic development to the image. So looking at it, we have applied the basic development. We have not retouched the image, we have not reshaped it, we haven't done any erasing or any creative adjustments, just the basic development. So similarly, the third image, again, step number 1, click on it, it just takes a second, and it gets applied to the photo. Okay, so back to our initial image, and it's time to move to the step number 2. This is where we're gonna be doing the retouching and reshaping. So let's close the presets window and close the essentials tool and open the retouch section. Now we're not gonna be focusing on the masking. However, again, if you wanna see a tutorial on how to do that, keep an eye on our YouTube channel, and we will jump straight into the other adjustments. Now we're not gonna use all of them, but I think let's zoom in a little bit, maybe not 100%, maybe 50, and then move into the skin blemish part. This is where we're gonna take the slider, increase it, and go quite far, go to 100, let the application apply the edit, and see what it does to the image. Because after that, you can always back it down, right? You can just bring it down and see how much you want to remove. But actually, in my case, I think the 100 looks good. Now, it's always a good idea to use the little eye icon in the top right corner of the tool to see the before and after. And I think it works like magic. I think it's crazy. So let's keep the blemish removal on 100 and move to freckles removal. So again, we're going to increase it. Again, keep an eye on the image. Let's see what it does. We're just going to apply it. It will scan the face, remove what it needs to remove. And I think one fascinating fact is how much of a texture and details it keeps on the skin. I think it's incredible. Okay, so 79 on this one is good. If you feel like you need to recover some of the details in the face, use the detail slider. But for us, we are finished with the blemish removal. So we can close that and move into the face skin. In the face skin part, we can apply some skin smoothing. So let's do that just a little bit. We don't want to go crazy. When you overdo it, it looks like it's more a toy or AI creation. We just want to go gentle. We want to add a little bit, but I just think maybe somewhere around 20. Again, just like with the skin blemish, you can use the details slider to recover some of the details. But for me, this is good. Additionally, if we zoom out, we can apply some face skin color correction. So let's say that we're gonna try it, maybe just a little bit, somewhere around 30. If you think that there are some dark circles, we can remove them using the slider. Now there are some, but also some part of it is a makeup. So you don't want to go crazy. I think that looks very unnatural, but let's say just gently somewhere around 40. Let's double check again, before and after. And it looks good. So moving on, we have the face brightening. We're going to add touch. We don't want to go crazy because that just doesn't look right. But I think maybe around 15 or 20, just a touch glow, touch extra attention towards the face. And shine removal, I really like to use that. Some photographers don't, but I think it really helps to flat and even the face. So done with that, done with the face skin. With the eyes, definitely we can use a little help here. If we zoom in, she has that kind of blue-gray eyes. And when you look at it, they're not really sharp. And to recover some of the sharpness, you can actually use the iris option here. So looking at the eyes, they are gray, right? So we're going to select the gray eyes. And what it's going to do, it's going to replace the eyes. However, we don't want to do that. We don't want to completely replace the eyes. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the iris visibility and actually bring it down. And what we're doing, we're going to bring it to the point where we can start to see the original eyes, but we still keep the sharpness. So if I bring it all the way down, it disappears. But I think somewhere around here, we get the sharpness in the eyes and we'll still keep the original eyes in it. Now we can add a little bit of iris flare if we want to, but actually I think we just leave it the way it is. Additionally, since we already zoomed in, we can apply a little bit of redness removal to take care of these red areas. So just a little bit, because when you overdo it, they just don't look natural at all. We can add a little bit of whitening. Again, nothing crazy, maybe around 20, because when you overdo it, again, you lose the natural look completely. So I think just somewhere around 20. And when it comes to eye enhancement, I quite like it. Some people, I think, overdo it, but for us, just a little bit, let's say, maybe somewhere around 40 looks good. To double check it, we're just gonna zoom out. Now it looks way over, so let's go and keep it on 20. Finally, mouth, we're not gonna do anything. We can't see any teeth. And makeup. So can we do something with the makeup? Maybe just a little bit. Let's just help a little bit the blush. So we're gonna increase the amount here in the blush section. When you overdo it, it will look crazy, but just a touch, somewhere around 15. Then the contour, moving forward, let's have a look at it. Actually, I don't think that we need that. So maybe a little bit of highlights, just a touch. I quite like to apply the highlights together with feathering, so it looks more natural. And then eyeliner, no. Maybe enhance the eyebrows a little bit, just add a little bit of darkness and contrast there. With the lips, I'm happy with the way they look. So we are finished with the retouching. After the retouching, it's time to move into the reshape, where we're not going to be slimming the face. I don't think there is need for that. With the eyes, no need for that. Maybe with the nose, we could try that. Let's say that we're going to make the nose just a little bit less wider. Just adjust it like this. And maybe adjust the nose tip just to make it a little bit smaller. Something like this. Now, you wouldn't have to do it at all, but just to show you what can be done here in the reshape. After that, with the mouth, you can adjust the position of the lips. So you can basically bring them up or down and adjust the actual lips. But for me, this looks good. And with the body, well, we have more kind of portrait, so we don't need to adjust that. So only the nose in a reshape, but now would be the time when you would do the reshaping. After this, we can close the reshape toolbar and we are done with our second part. And again, this would be time when we would save this look as preset. So back to our presets window, click on the plus sign, and again, let's call it Bella, and this time step 2. So we're gonna click on save and save it. Why we did that? Well, there will be images where we could apply the same edit and it will still look great. So let's say that we're gonna select the second image and we're gonna go ahead and apply the second preset. It's gonna take a few moments. As you're gonna see, it will give us a message that it applies the preset. And once it's finished, we will be able to see how much of that edit we want to apply. Now looking at it, it's a little bit too strong for me. So to adjust it, we can actually take the slider and bring it down. So we can go, let's say, to somewhere around maybe a 50 and look at it. Look and see if that is any better. And if you like the result, well, you can keep it this way and then you can just move into these adjustments like the retouch and actually adjust it from here. So for example, with the eyes, if you think that the actual iris is a little bit too strong, we can bring it down to, let's say, 34. Or we can adjust the other settings. Maybe the makeup is a little bit too strong. Maybe the eyeliner or the eyebrow enhancement is a little bit strong. You just adjust it from here. So it's a good way to speed up the process. You just save the second part, the second step, apply it to the image and adjust it individually. Now let's close the presets and for the third time return to our original image. Now just before we going to continue, a quick reminder that today's tutorial is powered by our brand new Aperty Ultimate Guide. This powerful 106-page ebook guide is full of details, instructions, and covering every single tool and technique in this application. Now, if you want to find out more about it, you can use the link in the description of this video or head directly to our website, cleverphotographer.com. And just a quick reminder that if you get the Ultimate Guide now, you can get it with a special pre-release offer. Now it's time to apply the edits that are specific for specific images. So for this one, starting with the erasing. Now looking at it, there are some parts of the skin here which could be just a little bit adjusted, some of these spots here, and there are different ways to do that. Easiest way is just to use the simple erase tool. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna click on the erase tool on the top of our window. And in the erase tool, we have two options. simple clone and stamp and erase. So let's zoom in a little closer. With our erase tool, we're going to adjust the size of our brush and very carefully paint over that area. And the application will use the content aware tool and basically remove it just like that. So again, here on this area, we're going to brush over it. It will take a second and remove it. And we can just keep brushing over. If the erasing takes a little bit too long, what you can do is to click on remove after each stroke. So do that. Then adjust the size of your brush, keep it on select, and go ahead and select the areas you want to remove. So let's say all of these. We don't have to select all of them right now. I'm sure you're getting the idea. When you have a brush selected, use a space bar to move around. So let's say this as well, maybe here and here. Once you're happy with the selection, return to the erase tool and click on erase. So by doing that, the application again will scan the image and erase all the areas you have selected. So this way, you don't have to go back and forward. You can just erase it like that. Since we're already here looking at her lips, you can see that there are some red spots. When there is a lot of texture like on the lips, mixed with highlights, in general, it's better to use the clone and stamp. The way it works, you adjust the size of your brush. So we want quite small brush, and then you sample area. So we're going to select the area here, and very easily, we're just going to brush over the part of the lips. Once we're happy there, we can now sample another area, like this one right here, and just brush over the lips here. And again, maybe here, and just brush over the area here. If you still need some adjustments, just keep brushing using the clone and stamp. And yeah, just play around with it until you're happy with the result. Now we can zoom out again and have a look at the result once we finish with the erase and clone, and simply click on save. With that being done, we have removed any of the unwanted elements from her shoulder and skin, also taken care of the lips, and we are done with erasing. After this, it's time for the special effects. And to apply them, we're gonna go into the creative section. Here we have a number of tools. It is really up to you which one you want to use. However, for example, one interesting one is the light color. If you are a user of Luminar Neo, you will be familiar with this tool, as there it's called Studio Light. However, it's very simple. You just start with the amount slider and increase it. That will create a new source of light. And if you click on Show on Canvas, it will be highlighted with the white dot. Now you can take it and basically position it wherever you think that the light should be. Let's say somewhere around here, we can increase the amount so you can see the effect. But more importantly, why I'm using it now is that I want to make it darker around and add more focus on the model. I think it's a little bit too evenly lit. So what we're going to do, up to the scene settings, take the brightness slider and bring it down. Somewhere around, yeah, maybe -70 or maybe more. Oh no, keep it on -70. After this, into the light contrast, another one, somewhere around maybe just 5, light touch. And by doing that, you can see how the highlights and the face standing out. Now, after this, we can come back to our tool and increase the amount, where now we can really position it and choose where the light will come. And I quite like it on the face here and this part, maybe on the shoulder. Well, there are tons of other adjustments. We will create tutorial on it, but for the time being, now we are done with the light color. Let's close it and let's have a look. Additional adjustments here, maybe the vignette, just to create a little bit of gradient at the bottom, again to focus on the face. So let's open the vignette tool and let's bring the amount down. Nothing crazy, maybe just somewhere around -60. Nothing crazy. -60 is how much we want. And what we also want, we want to click on Place Vignette Center. Once we do that, we're going to adjust the center of the vignette. And what we want the center to be around the face. Somewhere. Additionally, we can also adjust the advanced settings. We can adjust the roundness, feathering if we want to, and we can add a little bit of inner light. But actually, I'm happy with the way it is. I just want to double check the before and after. Maybe take the amount even lower. Again, before and after. And that looks very good. Actually, no. Let's bring it to -6. With all of this, with all these edits, we have applied different adjustments, basic development, retouching, reshaping, erasing. In general, what I really like to do to finish it off is to apply very simple LUT to the image, which will basically even everything together. Now to do that, we're gonna open the LUT section or the tool, and we're gonna start by clicking on Choose LUT drop-down box. After that, you can choose one of the LUTs here, but for us, we're gonna click on Add Custom LUT File. And as you probably noticed, in the folder with the sample files, there is the Vogue Signature LUTs folder. Open it, and inside you will find 3 LUTs from our Professional Portrait LUT bundle. If you want to find out more about it, I will tell you about it at the end of this video. However, these 3 LUTs are yours, they are yours to keep and use. So select all 3 of them, click on Add, and they will be added into the application. After this, click on Choose LUT and navigate into the Custom LUTs. Here now, hover over the LUT and see what it does to your image. If the effect isn't strong enough, click away and increase the amount. Maybe all the way to 100, doesn't matter. Back again, Custom LUT and hover over. Let's see what you like. I quite like the last one actually. So we're gonna select it and apply. Once selected, we can again adjust the strength. Maybe not that strong, maybe just somewhere around 70. Double check the before and after. And I think that we are done. So close the LUTs. And for the 3rd time, back to the presets, plus sign. Again, let's call it Bella. And let's call it step number 3. After this, click on Save. And we even have the 3rd step finish. So again, just like before, what we can do, let's say that we're going to select this image this time, and we're going to click on Bella step 3. Again, it takes few moments and it will be applied to the image. However, looking at the image, it will need lots of adjusting. You will need to adjust the center of the vignette, you will need to adjust the erasing part, and lots of additional tools. So really, my suggestion is just to apply the step number 2, which can be quite easily shared across the image, and then build the overall look from here. So imagine on this image, you are now after the step number 2, moving into the step number 3, where now you would go ahead and erase unwanted elements, like on the lips, the sensor dust, any of the spots, and then going into the creative section, playing around with the light color, LUTs, film grain, vignette, and so on. So to finish it off, let's go back to our image. Let's see what we have created, and let's have a look at the image I have created earlier. Well, there is not much difference between. The original one maybe had a little bit more magenta in it, it was more romantic, where this one is more like a cover for magazine. Either way, this is how you develop raw file in Aperty following a simple 3-step workflow. Now, before we're going to finish, just a quick reminder that this tutorial is powered by our brand new Professional Portrait LUT bundle. This brand new bundle is focusing on portrait editing, and it will allow you to use the 170 expertly crafted LUTs to quickly and easily adjust your portrait photos. Now, this bundle is of course compatible with the Aperty software, but you can also use it with Luminar Neo, Lightroom Classic, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, DaVinci Code, and so much more. Now, to get the best possible price for the Professional Portrait LUT bundle, simply follow the link in the description of this video, and to find out more about it, head to our website cleverphotographer.com. And that's the end of today's tutorial. If you enjoyed it, make sure you like and share it, and if you have any question about today's topic or about Aperty, then write it in the comment section under this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss on any of our future content focusing on Aperty and Luminar Neo. For today, my name is Jacob Bors, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.